All right, welcome back. When you see outliers like this, where there's one that's just sitting way out beyond the regular distribution, and a couple other ones are way out there, a lot of times what you want to do is a log transformation. So what we want to do is take the natural log of the value. And we'll show you how that does, and then we're going to generate a frequency plot of it, and then we're going to come back and generate a QQ plot of it to give you an idea of how this transformation makes the variable that we're predicting easier to predict. So first we need to do the log, so we're going to do a natural log of it, so that's ln, and we just pick our total charge, end it with a parenthesis, and down, and then we need to fill everybody out on that, so I'll just double click. And then we need our normal, just like we did our normal here, we need our normal here. So this is going to equal to the quantity of our log transform variable minus the average of all of our log transform variables. Again, it's Control Shift down arrow. And I'm going to hit F4 now, which is going to lock them both in. Parenthesis, parenthesis, and then we're going to divide that by the standard deviation of the sample. I'll just pick on the bottom, do a Control Shift up arrow key to grid everything. Take my finger off the control button, keep the shift button down, go down one. We're going to hit F4 to lock it in, and then a parenthesis to fix it. And at this point we're going to go ahead and double click to run it down. Nice quick shortcuts here. When I was in industry, I worked in business for a long time. I was really good at these shortcuts, and basically it's just because I'm lazy. I'd rather do it quick. Anyway, next step is to go, we've already kind of done this, but we're going to do again the histogram plot. So we want 25 bins. I'll go ahead and no fill this guy. And now we need our min. And what we're interested in is our log transformation. So I pick the first one, Control Shift down, and enter to get the min, and now I want the max. And again, we can make sure we're at the top. Pick the first one, do a Control Shift down, end it with a parenthesis, and that's our max. Our range is now going to be equal to our max minus the min. And then the step is going to be equal to the range divided by the number of bins. So that becomes our step. We need our numbers 0, 1, 2, 3. That's enough, and then we can go ahead and drag this down till we get to our 25. And I'll just again clear this out so it's a little easier for everybody to see. Now we need our bin setup. So this is equal to our bin count multiplied by the step, and hit F4 to lock that in, and then we add to it the minimum value and hit F4 to lock that in, and then we'll go ahead and we can double click there to go ahead and fill down to the 25. And now we do our frequency function again, so we pick at the top, pick at the bottom so that the whole thing is highlighted, and then it's equal to FR frequency. Select our data array, which is going to be our log charge. Make sure you're at the top of the observations, Control Shift down, and then a comma. And next thing it's asking for is the bins array, so we'll zip back here, not all the way to the top, and select our bins, Control Shift down the arrow key, and the parenthesis, and then again, listen carefully. Hold down the Control key, hold down the Shift key, and then hit Enter. So in this one, I'm just going to hit Enter. And all I get is the frequency function at the 1 at the top. So it didn't populate all the way down. So if that happens, you just got to kind of re-enter the equation. You can't really edit it per se. So I've gone ahead and highlighted everybody, clicked up here, now I'm going to do a Control Shift and Enter to go ahead and get the whole bin population done. We're going to highlight our log frequency to get our plot. So again, we're just going to go and insert, and we want a bar chart. So this looks a lot better from a normal distribution standpoint. It's more humped in the center. We got some outliers on the low side. We still have a little bit of outlier on the high side, but we've transformed the distribution by transforming the variable to make it much easier to predict. And that's one of the things, we want to get the most accurate prediction we can, and then we'll worry about interpretation afterwards. All right, just like we did in the last one, select data. We're going to edit this guy on the labels and select our bins function. Control Shift down, click OK, and then we're getting too many decimal points again, so I'll just go ahead and click OK. And come back to the home key. In this case, we probably want 2 decimal places, so we're going to decrease this to 2. That looks pretty good. And then I'm going to move this guy by going over here to the design, move chart location, and this is going to be the LN histogram. And you can pick a different name for it. It's not these aren't graded by the code. Just drag that guy out. Alright, and then we're just going to do a few of the things we did last time. Click on it, the axis, edit the axis, we're going to text options, and we're going to put our 45 in. Or actually, I'm going to do a minus 45 this time, just to show you that there are different options and what they look like. We can go ahead and add our axis titles. Come in the first one, count of charges. And you want to have your chart clean so that people can look at it and understand what everything is. And then this is the natural log of the charges. And the last thing I'll do here is go ahead and add my solid border line. Alright, so that's good. You can probably work on the title, do a couple other things. Again, you can kind of play around with it a little bit. Alright, so the last thing I'm going to do in this video, so it might run just a little bit long, is my QQ plot, but it's going to be, we've already got the data set up for it. Come back to my analysis tab. What we want to do is plot our the normal, standardized normal distribution of the data against the underlying z-score. So we're going to go ahead, let's do it a little differently this time. We're just going to go ahead and insert a graph. You notice how it picks everybody. We're going to go on our select data, and we want to go ahead and remove total charge, remove quintile, remove, well, actually I can probably just uncheck it. Let's just remove it. So I'm just showing you, if you insert your chart before you pick your data, Excel is going to pick everything. Then we're going to go ahead and edit that one, and my X values are going to be the z-score, Control Shift down arrow key, and the series name we can leave blank, and the y-axis is the okay, and then OK again. Get back up to the top where we can see it. Now you can see how much straighter this line is. That tells you right away that you've done a lot of positive work in getting the dependent variable to be normally distributed, which goes a long way in order to kind of pick and help what's going on. So it's going to help our format, or help our prediction. And we still have a number of outliers that are out here that are just, they're not normal. They're out. So remember, the goal of the project is to create a regression that allows you to identify the outliers. So when we come back, we're going to use what's known as a tool that's going to work on these outliers. All right, so I'm just going to move my chart location, and this is going to be the new chart, and it's a QQ LNCHG. So it's a QQ plot for the logarithmic scale, or the log transformation. So it gives you a little cleaner look on it. You can, again, we can look at our QQ raw. Not very linear, a lot of curve to it, a lot of outliers on either side, versus our log. Now we've got a much more normal distribution associated with it. All right, I'm just going to move this guy over to the end, and that's it. We'll save the file. When we come back, we're going to talk about transforming the underlying data in order to get rid of the outliers. All right, thank you very much. Goodbye.